What's going on YouTube? Matt from GarageMC here. Today I'm going to show you guys how to put trx450r shocks on your trx400EX without cutting or grinding the frame whatsoever. Now, after you bought your 450R shocks, wherever you may have gotten them, eBay, friend, another quad that you upgraded and took those off of, you're going to take your nut and bolt off the top part of the shock and the bottom part of the shock. It's a 14 millimeter front and back, which is how it is OEM. I don't know if maybe you have different hardware in there, but from stock, it's 14 millimeter. Take 2 wrenches, or a wrench or a socket, whatever you guys want to do. Take your original 400EX shock off of the quad. Now, the only adjustability that you guys have with the TRX 400EX shock is this little preload setting, which I believe it's a preload setting, don't quote me. But that's the only adjustability you have with these shocks, okay? The 450R shock has a lot more adjustability, okay? Down at the bottom, top, preload, rebound. It's got every way better upgrade than the 400EX. Plus, I think it looks a lot cooler too. It's like a piggyback shock. The stock 400EX shock, which is here, the eyelet on the top is a lot smaller than the 450R shock, the one on the bottom here. So when you go to put the 450R shock on your 400EX, first problem you're going to run into is the captive nut that holds the fender stay on the frame right here. There'll be a captive nut right here. You're going to have to remove that no matter what. Just it's in the way. There's no way to get the 450R shock in there. Well, what I've seen other people doing is taking a die grinder or cutoff wheel or grinder, whatever they got nearby, and I see them grinding this part of the frame out. Not saying that they're right or wrong, or I'm right or wrong, but I didn't want to grind on the frame. I want to keep the structural integrity of where the shock on my quad mounts to the quad. I don't want to weaken that or do anything like that to it. I want to be able to put it back to stock if need be, and just would rather not grind a chunk of the main support that holds the quad up off of the quad. To me, that just sounds crazy. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, that's not a topic for today. Maybe one day, but not today. The 450R shock, after you get that captive nut off of there, when you go to mount the shock in here, the eyelet at the top of the shock body does not allow you to put it all the way into the mount to where you can put the bolt through. It ends up hitting that bottom part of the frame there. It's too thick. So what I had done was, instead of grinding on the frame, I've taken an abrasive wheel that I bought from Prime MX. His name's Cameron Niamala. He's on YouTube under his name, Cameron Niamala. You guys should check out his videos, but he sells some abrasive pads that are a lot better than just regular Scotch-Brite pads. They last a lot longer. There's like a heavy grit, a light grit, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to take casting marks out, use the heavier grit. If you're just trying to polish something up or smooth it out, use the finer grit, just like any other type of sanding or abrasive using or whatever. But I had clearance a little bit off of the shock body. So normally it would be a square and have an edge on it like this here. I just turned the buffing wheel on and took a little bit off, right like that. You guys can see the difference there. Get a little background contrast. That's all I took off of that. So that little bit that I took off of there allows me to fit the shock in there. But the fender stay, after you take the captive nut off of there, has no way for you to bolt it down now. So what I had done was, I took an Allen head bolt, which has a very low profile. It's about 1/3 of the thickness profile-wise of the captive nut that goes in there. So now instead of putting the bolt from the top into the captive nut, this will go into the frame first before I put the shock on. And I'll just put a nut from the top to use my fender stay. The fender stay, in my next video actually, I'm going to be doing custom lighting on the quad, and I'm going to use this as a mounting point for one of the lights. Be sure to check back with me, and that will be the next video that comes out, so keep an eye out for that, guys. But after you grind the shock body of the 450R shock, now slides in there. It's got all the clearance it needs, no cutting or grinding on the frame, and there it is. Now the quad, I have it up on a jack right now, so it's at full extension down. It has a little bit extra play if it needed to go further, which it won't. It's at its full extension right now, but there it is on there. So, as I said before, guys, my next video, you'll see how I mount the fender stay, because I'm going to be using that for my lighting, like I said. So be sure to, you know, subscribe, follow along with the channel. I got a bunch of other stuff I'm about to be doing soon. Corvette. I got a little Chinese quad joke project thing that I'm doing. You guys might get a kick out of. Wait till you see this thing. It is, I don't even have words for it, and that's rare for me. But give me a thumbs up, comment, and I also put a watermark down the bottom somewhere around here. If you're on a PC or a phone, go ahead and click that and subscribe, guys. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. See you in the next one.